3 years ago, we pressed record with a mission, a message, and no idea how much it would stretch us. Today, we're going back to where it all started to talk about why we began, what we've learned, and where we're headed. Let's do that again. Some issue.
I'm not mad at seeing
Hey,
us
y'all.
Hey.
Huh?
So I'm not mad at seeing us multiple times.
Exactly.
Did you see the whole thing? Did you see the whole thing?
It showed us. That was what I saw.
Yeah. All right. It's cool that I only worked several hours on that. That's fine. I heard a quote. I heard a quote recently that said, "We need to build better fences at the cliff rather than having more ambulances in the valley." I think there is no area of life that is more true than in relationships. And so this podcast has a single mission, and that is to help you live, love, and marry wiser. And to carry out that mission, I have brought my co-hosts back from the beginning. And I'm Lorraine Edwards. And then
Ebony and Renee Warren.
Hey, Nita Hall.
Welcome, you all. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy to have this conversation. If you've been following us for a while, you know we usually do updates at the beginning. But if you want to hear the updates on my dating life, you need to stay to the end because Lowdown with the updates is moving. And that's one of the changes that we make. And we'll share with you more things that we are going to be doing differently on the podcast here in season number 9.
Wild.
Very wild. We are here. Thank you all for joining us. Who do we have in the chat already? Thank you so much for being in the chat. Hey, Trina. I knew it was Trina. Thank you, Trina. Congrats. Thank you. We appreciate you. And today we are going to start where we started. And that's talking about why this podcast. There are a lot of podcasts. So why this one? Why did we feel the need? And when we first started, if you weren't watching at the beginning, it was myself and Ebony. But before it was myself and Ebony, it was just me. And God said in 2020, I was in New Zealand on a mission trip, or I should really say a missionary assignment because I was there for the whole year. It wasn't just a trip. And that's when I started a single mission. And God was like, I want you to do a podcast or like a YouTube program. And I said, okay. I said, okay. And then I had the chaplain who was at the school I was working at. He's into technology and cameras and stuff. And we recorded the first episode. And it sits on a computer somewhere, having never been released and probably will never be released ever. So then fast forward to 3 years ago, 2015, 2023. And that call never went away. And God was like, I need you to do this. And I wanted to do it because I just felt like there was so much that needed to be for singles, because I'm single. I've never been married. I'm in a faith community. And I knew that nothing that happening in the church was speaking to my needs, speaking to my concerns, speaking to the issues that I face as a single woman trying to live this life out as a Christian, but still desiring a partner. And so I said, okay, God, we're going to do it for real this time. And then, when I tried to do one, I don't know if I ever recorded this all the way. And just doing it by myself was just boring. Like, I know some people do it and they do great, but I just wanted to have conversations. And so then I tapped Ebony on the shoulder and I said, I called her one day and I said, hey, would you like to do this podcast with me? And literally before I could finish, now, for a long time. And I was so shocked when she said yes that quickly. I did not have to convince or cajole or bribe or make bread or anything. She just said yes. And I just thought it was when I kind of launched and was doing kind of like the mystery, like what's happening on, I said the single one and the married one. And so I'm going to ask Ebony to talk about why she said yes so quickly. And that's because that's just how we kicked off. And then we'll get into the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Let me go ahead and keep it a stack. I was surprised that I said yes too. And what I had been realizing was that, my husband and I have been married for a long time. Like this year, I think it's 28 years. And what I realized was that there was a lot of gaps in the necessary information that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could, offer some, and it wasn't expertise, but if I could offer some experiential knowledge to someone else before they got to, being married or, hit some of the speed bumps and roadblocks and such that I had and we had encountered, I felt like that was the right thing to do. And I also felt like, I needed that. I needed that. I needed the conversations about marriage, because even when you're talking about singleness, so much of that is still applicable to how we need to show up appropriately in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed that conversation still. I needed that support still. And when I say needed, I mean need. Let's talk about the present. So it was just as important to me to be able to be a part of these conversations as, whatever you felt like I could bring to the table. So that was really it. It was like, yes, God, absolutely. Let me be a part of this.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'll ask the other ladies too, if they want to share why they said yes to me as well. I love that, because so often it seems as if once you're married, you don't even really need to have anything to do with those single people, because you got it, you got it, and nothing, you can't learn nothing, you can't not even just learn, but share. It just felt like not as in a relational, like our friendship, but just in the community of faith, there's this division. So if you're doing a podcast about single women or for single women, then only single women can be on it. Married people don't got nothing to say. They can't contribute and they can't watch and learn. Now, we've done this for 3 years, and we've learned that there are a lot of married people who watch and gain knowledge from it. But Renee, since you were next, that I kind of lassoed to help me here, how did you? Well, I know you were watching, because I referenced you in the very first episode, because you were like the first person on live in the chat. So I appreciate you. But what made you say yes?
Yeah. It was an easy yes as far as the mission goes. The hard part was getting past me, my nerves, my anxiety, and the public speaking or whatever, being in front of this internet public or whatever. But the easy part, again, was saying yes to the mission because, as we have shared so many times, I found myself so frustrated, growing up and having these married seminars and single seminars, and they were separate. And my frustration was that I'm like, whatever you're teaching me as a single person, that's all fine and good, but I want to be married. So I want to know what the married people are talking about in real time. It's almost like, folks get married and then you enter into this secret society or whatever. Did somebody just say something about going in a door? It's like y'all close the door and we can't hear anything. We don't know what's going on in there, And so the thing about mission is that you are opening the door, allowing us to share information back and forth. And actually, Ebony, with you just saying that, I think that's my first time hearing you say sometimes the married folks still want to know what's going on out there too. And I hope I'm getting it right in the sense that when you don't want to be single, but single people are dealing with their individuality and still growing in that way.
Right.
So
Yes.
saying that that's still something that you guys even need to know in your marriage.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, the mission, I love it. Bringing us all together because we all have information for each other.
Yeah, that was a great way to say that.
Yes, I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank
Love
you
it.
so much. It's been a pleasure to have you a part of it. Oh, well, I think you're next because your yes might have been faster than Ebony's. I don't know, but I think just because we actually on the phone. But Onita had been watching, and she's always sharing in the Facebook, and so I just made a comment thanking her for sharing, the podcast and the links and all of those things, and just being encouraging. And I said, just kind of off the cuff, not because I didn't mean it, but I just said, hey, if you ever want to be, a guest host and I promise you, if we were in person, she would have interrupted me. Like I hit send, and the response came back quickly. I was just like, wait, what? And she said, yes. So tell me about how on the other side of the fence, how that message went up.
That yes was like, first of all, the question was an answered prayer because, as you guys know, like I said, I had been in the chat, and at first I was mad at myself for not knowing sooner that y'all been on, because I feel like I don't think I was commenting on season 1 or 2. I think it was more like 3 or 4 that I was in there, because I was like, man, they're talking about stuff I want to talk about, and to Renee's point, like you said, even being married, there is a lot that we can gain from people who also are single, but also are able to work on themselves. Being married, being a mom, we're always having to take care of other people. So a lot of times I'm the last person that I get to take care of.
Yeah.
And so, talking about, your mental health and your finances and all these different things, a lot of times once you're married, you're in it. You're just, you're going through your everyday stuff. And so, being in the chat, first of all, just responding to you guys and asking questions and adding things that I had learned too, I was just excited to be able to share. I too believe in the mission of what you're doing, because I just believe, I know for a fact I would have came into my marriage a whole lot better had I had something like this ahead of time. To your point, Renee, it's like people do get married and they go into the secret society, and they don't, and even if you're around them, they make everything appear to be perfect. And you're like, oh man, they're not fighting. They're not having these issues. They're not struggling. They show up to church always smiling. They sit right beside each other. He's holding her hand. And you just kind of you get into your marriage, and you're like, oh my gosh, who is this person I'm married? I don't know what I'm doing. And you're winging it, and you're praying too. But whatever is already in you becomes amplified in marriage. All the flaws are amplified. And so if we can get a lot of these things worked on and out of us and healed, and knowledge that we gain, and not just information, but we're actually letting that information transform us prior to the marriage, then we can be a lot better. And so I was just happy when Lorraine said it, because like I said, I had been, one of my things I wrote down was maybe I should start a podcast. But I knew it was just something about it where I was like, I couldn't do it by myself. And God had told me, you can't do this journey alone. For what you're looking for, you can't do it alone. And so when Lorraine said you want to be a guest, I was like, heck yeah. I already have like 10 topic ideas because she called me. It was like, so you have any ideas? I was like, well, sure. Well, let me see. And I had several ideas, and the topic that I did come on about and speak about was emotional investment, and particularly because I had many friends who were married, very much so, who either their spouses were still mama's boys, in the sense that mama was still dictating a lot in their marriage, or the women were still stuck at almost like they were still under their mother's ruling, even though mom's not in the house. Mom was still the voice in their head for every decision, and so it was causing issues in their marriage. Or I'm around friends who are too involved in their kids' life, like the boy could never be able to be a man because mama is doing everything. And so that was a topic that was one of the topics that I had, that I came on and we discussed and talked about. And then after I was a guest, Lorraine said, hey, would you like to be a host? And yes, it was something I wrote down, something I prayed about. And so for me, the yes came quickly, because like I said, it was a prayer that I prayed, and God had answered it by her request. And so I was just happy to be able to be on with you ladies, because I think you all are so smart, brilliant, and beautiful. And I believe just in being around y'all, I was going to learn more and be able to also share at the same time.
Good stuff. It's good stuff.
Can I add one thing?
No, that's good. Sure. Please.
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to speak on is how she was talking about how people would be sitting beside each other at church and like making marriage look like it was this perfect thing. Well, in my experience long ago at church, that wasn't happening.
Right.
The couples were not sitting beside each other. They were not interacting with each other. You weren't seeing them having conversations. The only way you knew they were married is if someone said it. So it did marriage for a younger standpoint, looking up, did not look appealing.
Yeah.
In these seminars, it allows me, because I did used to sneak in, I did used to sit in the back, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I see that these are real people in real relationships, and it helped me to understand what was going on.
Yes.
With them, so like I'm saying, it is very beneficial to open the door and allow us unmarried folks to see in. And, again, you guys have a need to that I personally can't relate to yet, but there's something that you want to see with us as well. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. That's a good call out.
Well,
Yes.
That was my experience too.
that is. And so you all kind of touched on it, but Onita said something about, if I had known these things before I got married, then I would have gone into this a little bit differently. Start there, because as I was rewatching the episode, just even on the intro, I was, whoa, that's good. Oh, that's good. We hadn't even got to the conversation yet. And the one thing, there were a couple of things that Ebony said that kind of sparked that. But she said, because we had done an Instagram interview, and she said on that, I never lived as Ms. Odom. And so she was talking about how gone from father's house to her husband's house, didn't really know herself, was never that. She was, she was always this person's daughter. Then she became this person's wife. And we were talking about just that, and how important it is to, take some time to just be you and figure yourself out. But also the main point she was making was how difficult it is to change when you're already married. And she said this term that you think you'll never forget something, and then you do forget it.
Yes.
But then when I heard it again, I was like, oh, she said it's cement. I don't know if y'all remember.
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, oh, that was So I want to spend a few minutes in just talking about that in the context of why this podcast, because it's called Live, Love, and Marry Wiser, because we want you to make wise decisions in all aspects of your life, becoming you before you become. That's why it's live and then love and then marry, not marry, life. Like there is, it's an order to it, really. Thank God, I never really thought about it like that, but there's an order to it, because there's a life even before you fall in love and start dating, and then there's love and then marriage.
Yep.
And so why is it so those adjustments, or to have forums like this, or to listen to other people as we kind of delve into those different aspects of life? And whoever wants to start. Ebony, I'm gonna pick you just because you were the one who made the statement first, swimming in cement.
Yeah. 100%. And it's interesting because, you know, what Renee just said about when she was kind of recapping what her understanding of why I wanted to be on the podcast, the way that you phrased it, Renee, about, you know, getting to knowing yourself and getting to know yourself. If I had done that, if I had done being single well, then I would be doing marriage much better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a flat out of it. And I didn't feel like I didn't have the appropriate resources to help me to do that and to make the right decisions. And so I wanted to be married more than I wanted to be a wife. And those are two different desires. Those are two different desires.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what being a wife was. Still learning lessons right now. And so this podcast is important because if your desire is to do single well, right? You may not have the desire to be someone's wife. You may want to be single for the rest of your life. You still need to do that well. So you need to know yourself in order to live life well. But if you do want to be a wife, then you still want to know yourself well. You want to do single well still because you want to do married well.
Mm-hmm.
And that should come before the other. So having this resource, having a forum where you can have real talk, where you can understand all of the beauties and what sometimes feels like the burdens of marriage is invaluable. It's invaluable because so many of us didn't have mothers or women in our lives that we could have honest conversations with, you know. And so this forum there is no value, there's no amount that you can put on it that would be able to identify what the value is.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, what did being married mean to you? You wanted to be married, but what did that part mean?
Being married meant not being by myself, you know, doing fun, having a flashy ring, being able to say I'm Mrs. So-and-so. Being married meant fun.
Right. But being a wife means?
Being a wife means that you're going to keep the man about the floor. It means that every night he going to be looking for something to eat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It means that y'all going to have to figure out, like, who going to do this, who not going to do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It means that all of the stuff, real talk, all of the stuff that you haven't dealt with as a single is going to bubble up and likely going to be clashing with that other no longer single that you have now married. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And so being a wife means that you, particularly as a believer, it means that we're supposed to be trying to get to heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's supposed to be our ultimate goal. We're supposed to be trying to get to heaven. Don't nobody tell you that. Right? They talk about being having fun and having babies and, you know, access to the marriage bed and all of that, right? But as believers, we're supposed to be trying to get to heaven. And so that means that we're supposed to be in this joint doing work, doing soul work. And I was well into my marriage before I realized that. And by the time that I did realize it, there is so many mistakes and so much trauma and so much hurt and so much stuff that doing the soul work was exponentially harder. Exponentially harder. And so that wife is, if you want to be somebody's wife, then that means you want to be somebody's ride or die. That means that you're trying to get in this thing and thug it out, right? If you want to be married, then you're trying to go to Disneyland.
Right. I love that. And that makes me think of two things. One, there was this little video that I did. You know how like on Instagram, they have those, I'm going to say kind of like the voiceovers, and then you can reenact the voiceover. So anyway, I did one of those, and it was like, I am no longer doing ride or die because all I do was die. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing that makes me think of. But also for single women, now I want to say that we are told to look out for one of two men. You're looking out for the man who just wants a wife, but you're looking for the man who wants a husband, who wants to be a husband.
Yeah.
Because those are two totally different men.
Yes.
Right? Because there's one that wants me to come in and care for him, but there's one that also knows that when we get together, he is going to be caring for me as well.
Yes.
So that's what you made me think of with that. And I think that also supports the same thing that we've been saying this whole episode, is that when we have the proper resource or the people around us to pour this knowledge into us, it helps us to make better decisions.
Yeah.
Because recently I was thinking about one of my past relationships where I was just simply saying, I thought that there were things going on in this relationship that were so bad, right? But then now, as being much older, and I look back, I'm like, those things really weren't that bad. But if we had people who were able to say, those things aren't that bad, you can work through them, this is, let me coach you or, kind of guide you through these things, then maybe the outcome could have been a little bit different. But I didn't feel like I had that, which again makes this platform so relevant.
Yeah. That's so good, Renee. And Ebony, girl, when you said we're supposed to help each other get to heaven and can test your soul, can't nobody test your soul like your spouse, okay?
Yeah.
And your sanctity and salvation. This is when you got to remind yourself, Jesus, get your son and your son, Lord, but and then your angel and the Holy Spirit be like, but this was a you thing. Get you.
Say that.
Get you.
Say that.
And so this platform, what I love about it is that we've not done a lot of pointing the fingers. A lot of it's been about accountability, and it's been about working on healing you, healing the little girl in you that has the daddy issues, that has the abandonment issues, that having you recognize that all men ain't dogs. It was about where you were in your life, that you kept putting out that scent to attract dogs. And while you kept allowing the dogs, my grandma always say, if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. What in you that needed to be healed? That why you kept aligning yourself with the dogs. And so this platform, what I love about it is it's helping you take ownership for your healing, not waiting on the man to do it.
Yeah.
We all bought into the lie from the Jerry Maguire movie. I love it. I love a good rom-com. Him saying, you complete me. Only God can complete us. He never intended for any human to fill us and fill the voids that he gave us. That's that only he can fill. And so we're debunking the myths that your spouse or anybody can complete you. Only God can do that. And then secondly, I got sick and tired of seeing my oldest daughter, but also just a generation of women in my life, women who are even in church who, nothing against these women, because I still respect them and I know they have a story. But the fact that Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Sexy Red, all these women have become who, Felicia Rashad was for me, and Debbie Allen and Oprah Winfrey, that we have a generation of women who think that the toxic relationships that they're singing about in these songs are the ideal relationships, and that I have to do these things to my body, I have to do these things sexually to attract a man. And it's okay, he got multiple baby mamas, but he coming home to me tonight. I'm like, no, let's debunk that myth. that's not the abundant life Jesus promised us. And
Mm.
so that when these women too, when they
Mm-hmm.
begin to heal and they begin to do the inner work on themselves, I guarantee you, not just the guy they're with is going to change, but their music will change. But it's like until that time, they have more of a bigger platform than us. I'm like, God will expand. People that need to get to this platform will see it. They will hear and they will learn. But let them see that there are women who are striving to be that Proverbs 31, recognizing that even she had help.
Yeah.
She had a lot of help.
Talk good, sis.
When you get when you overwhelmed, like you call in reinforcement. If you need to get a cleaning lady, that's what someone's married. You need to get a cleaning lady, you need to get meal prep, whatever. But she had help too. But recognizing that there are women who are willing to say, I'm a godly woman. I have a happy marriage. I'm in love with my spouse. Also, or if you're not married, you're single and you love who you are and you're willing to wait well and do the work on you, that you can be single and still have a fulfilling life outside of having a person you're dating with. And maybe marriage is not what you want and desire for, but even in that time, you're working on you. Your money's right, your career's right, your head is right, your edges is right, whatever you need right, even in your singleness, that you can still be fulfilled and happy and wait well in that.
Oh my
Lorraine,
God.
Lorraine, some of us are struggling with the edges. Okay, I just got to throw that in
Oh my gosh. I love my good sister
So
so much.
that's all good. I apologize if we had any just kind of delays or whatever. Just y'all pray over there too. I am having some technology issues. But I'm glad y'all could hear and everything is good. I want to just transition a little bit to talking about um, the single woman and what I've experienced as a single woman in a community, and just let's talk a little bit about that. Um, because I want to speak to the woman who's watching who says, uh, but how come I can't be married? Like all these other people, they not even trying to do right and they getting married and they got these guys and guys are, paying their rent and all this kind of stuff. And, sister over here struggling. And I, as I mentioned, if you haven't been here before, I have never been married. I just turned, not mad about this, just turned 56, Renee. I turned 56 in December. And I still look great because Renee shocked her my age. It goes up a year.
Exactly.
But
Black don't crack, honey. Black don't crack.
I and I grew up reading about relationships, talking about relationships. People were sharing with me their relationships, giving advice on relationships, all of the things. And then I get to, the age of accountability and all that, not 12. I was like, I'm just like thinking, oh, am I not the age of accountability? I wasn't trying to be married then, but you get to be 16, 18, and you like looking for, thank you, Susan. um, you want to have a boyfriend, you go to college, you want somebody to notice you, and that's just kind of how it all starts. And you get to meet the guy there in college, live happily ever after and all that stuff. But and I knew that part wasn't true, but because I have been reading about relationships and studying since I was a child. But that didn't happen. And then I was 25, which is when I thought I would get married. And then I wasn't even dating anyone. I don't remember. I certainly wasn't dating anyone that I could marry or should marry. And then I turned 30. And how am I 30? Because I'm supposed to have 2 children by now. In the career, I didn't have any of those things. And then, Lord have mercy, when I turned 35, girl, my whole, I went from up here to down here. I was so depressed because I had said if I don't have a child by the time I'm 35, then I'm not going to have one. But I just said that because I never imagined that I would have gotten to 35 and not had all the things. So I was just like, hold up. You know, there's an expectation, and you know, it's not like God didn't say you're not going to be married by the time you're 35. So I'm thinking everybody, this is just part of the normal, this is life. Especially as a Christian, this is life. And I got to 35 and I did not have a child, and I didn't have a husband. I didn't even have anyone that could be Mr. Right. And so I was depressed. So having to fight through that, now I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe I could go to 36. Still didn't meet anyone, so it didn't matter. And so now I'm at 40. And 40 just did a whole different situation. You're like 35 was bad, but 40, it's like you're 40 and you're not even dating good. Like there's not even someone who's on the horizon who's just like, oh, we just started dating, this is going great, in a year I'll be married. No, it was zilch. And there's so many women in the church who are at this age, because 40 is a magical number. They are struggling because, they're struggling because, God, I'm in the church. I'm doing all the things. I'm serving. I'm praying. I'm keeping myself pure. I'm doing all the things. And how come this hasn't happened for me? Well, if you thought 35 was bad, 40 I just went in the hole. I was totally functional. And I promise you, the only people who knew I was in that space were people I told. And I didn't tell anybody. I might have told Ebony, I don't know. But we were, possibly because I was living with y'all. I was living with y'all at the time. So obviously in that kind of close quarters, you see things a little differently. But I just could not, Onita. I could not get my mind around the fact that God had withheld this from me. And I say that word for a reason. Because the verse that pulled me out, Renee, your camera's not on, I don't know. The verse that pulled me out, but you good, was Psalm 84:11. And if anybody has heard me tell my story ever, you know this is the verse. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it for you. The Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord will give grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from them who walk uprightly. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And I promise you, I had heard that verse many times, but when I was praying, and that's what you need to do when you're depressed, you need to still go back to God because he can handle that. Don't walk away because there ain't nothing better over there. It just gets worse over there. So don't walk away. And the Holy Spirit was like, read that verse pretty much. I don't know exactly how it went, but that verse came to my mind and I read it. I said it first. So obviously I was familiar with it, but not from this context. But when I read that thing, my mind was like, because the Holy Spirit said, okay, this marriage thing is good because I created it. But it's just not good for you right now. I'm not withholding anything good for you. And see, that's the thing that I realized in this. Sorry, I'm just doing a whole thing right now. That's the thing I realized then that I've held on to. We think that because something is good for somebody else, it means it's good for us.
Come on,
And
sis.
God's like, I have a whole plan for you. I have a whole story for you. I have a whole
Right.
purpose for you. And so what might be good for them on their journey is going to derail you from your journey. And that thing took hold in my spirit, y'all. And I did a 180. I did a 180 on that. And I praise the Lord because that's the thing that I want to talk about. Like I had felt isolated. And then I promise you that still happens. It don't bother me no more. It bothers me for other people, but I don't even expect, I don't want to say this the wrong way, because I think the church should be responsible for serving all of its members. But at this point in my life, I don't expect the church to do that for me. God expects me to do that for others. And that's the mission he brought me to when he pulled me from depression to mission. It was to serve. And he's like, of course you can serve if you're married, but number one, you wouldn't be interested in if you had been 25 married. What would you know about it?
Yeah.
Understand how people feel. How would you experience that? And they know that you've experienced it. They wouldn't know that. And so he's like, that's why it wasn't good for you then. I'm not saying it's not ever going to be good for you and it's not ever going to happen, but that's why. And so that was such a transition for me. But I know women are out there are feeling isolated. They're feeling dismissed. They're feeling preyed upon. Not this.
Yeah.
So how do we serve besides the podcast, obviously, and speaking and all of that? What are your thoughts about that? How can we change the culture? Maybe not of the whole church, but just even in our local church. What can we do?
Well, I want to jump in on that one. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Tag, you're in.
Listen, I think that the church has to, hot take, the church has to take marriage off of a pedestal. That's what I think.
Yes.
Because if you are not married, then you haven't reached that pinnacle. You haven't reached that high place. Right. You haven't reached visibility. Right? It's like the single men and single women. Y'all just milling around here at the bottom. And then once you get married, that's when you're elevated to that place of import. That's when you can serve. That's when you are whole and fulfilled. And unless or until the church starts to really serve its demographic. So who's in the church? If you got married folk in the church, if you got widows in the church, if you got divorced folks in the church, if you got whomever, serve your demographic.
Yeah.
That's how we change it. Talk to your people. That's what I tell my leaders at my job all the time. They're like, well, Ebony, I don't know how to do this. Now, did you talk to them? Did you ask them what they needed so that you can coach them appropriately? Talk to your people. The church needs to do the same thing. Serve your demographic.
Yeah.
Meet the needs of your demographic. That's what needs to happen. And not coming into each year with this prescripted, this is what we're going to do in relationship ministry. Relationship ministry means married folk and the men. The two ministries, women's ministry, singles ministry. Right? We always gonna have something for the little childrens, as we should. The men always gonna get their thing. Married folk gonna get their thing. Women's ministry, singles ministry, gonna struggle. That has been my experience historically.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that, E, because the reality is we are the church and we are to be like Christ, and that's what Jesus did. He met the needs of the people. He didn't come beating them over top of the head with the two tablets of Moses and the Ten Commandments. He went and he got down in their mess with them. He got down in the dirt and he helped them meet their needs. And so,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we have to do. We have to do this is what we're called to do. Put it that way. We also are called to be the salt of the earth. So I think another component of that is that when those of us who know better, we do better. So as I heal, then I'm able to help a sister beside me or another brother. And real talk, I'm very
You kind
excited
of don't
about
know if that's on my side.
She's good on my side.
the other part of it is I love the work that we're doing here because it's something that I every week I share with my daughter and she's sharing with her friends at college because again, if they can get it at a younger age, not 40 plus,
Mm-hmm.
if they can just get some of this because their generation talks more than our generation did as far as about their mental
Yeah.
health and their feelings. I grew up in an emotional, constriction state of, a house where, children are to be seen, not heard. And
Yeah.
parents did all the talking. There was no, it wasn't reciprocal. You
Yeah.
just do
For the
what you're told.
conversation.
Right. There was no conversation. Do what
Mm-hmm.
I say, not as I do, even though we saw and did everything they did. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but that generation, Amirs and Dea and Tail and all of them, they're growing up where they grew up to where we allow them to talk, right? And there's
Yeah.
conversations, but they're also talking to each other. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they can get it in too, they will help, they'll reach way more of their friends than we ever will because the peers, they listen to each other.
Right.
And so, and when they recognize something as truth, they take a hold of it. If
Yeah.
it's hypocrisy, don't sit there and preach to them one thing, but live a whole nother way, because then they gonna walk away. We
Yeah.
kind of stuck around and just respected our elders and stay. They ain't doing that.
Right.
So if they can get it and get it on, the younger side of life,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they're definitely going to ripple through their community
Yeah.
like the disciples. I believe that.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. I agree with that completely. And that's another demographic where the church misses the mark.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Because the church doesn't want to serve them in a way that is value add. It's still, you should be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. Don't wear this, don't wear that, don't listen to this, don't listen to that. It's a bunch of rules and prescriptions that don't meet their needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we're not serving that demographic, there's a gap in the church.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, our kids, they're getting from the world what we should be giving them in the church,
Yes.
and they're struggling with that. And so
Yeah.
their need doesn't go away. And just like any other human, we're going to do what we need to do to meet that need. And so that means they're going to
Mhm.
talk to their friends. They're going to look on social media. They got access to so much more stuff than we did. And
Oh
so
yeah.
there's no shortage of stuff for them to try to get into to meet that need that's in them. No shortage of stuff.
Yeah. Renee, I think were you about to say something, Renee?
No, I was absolutely agreeing with you guys. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
And so I think that back to one of Lorraine's points too, though, about where she said she was suffering and people that know it. That's another reason. I mean, like I told you, even before I got on here, I was sitting home one day, married, coming to church, leading in church, leaving church, still feeling lonely.
Yeah.
And so people will look at it. You're married and you have kids and you have status, as leadership, and you leaving lonely
Mm-hmm.
because my need, the matters of my heart weren't being addressed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
things that I needed, talking about childhood trauma and healing from those things, and talking about emotional constriction and abandonment, and how you can have, in a sense, have it all, but still not be content and still be unhappy. And
Yeah.
so is, again, as I began on my own healing journey, but even through this podcast, started to
Mm-hmm.
recognize that, oh, you're not alone in this. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there are many people going through the same things you're going through and
Mm-hmm.
having these same experiences. And who cares that you're married and you're just now getting it? Who cares you're 40 plus and you're just getting it? You're still
Mm-hmm.
alive, on this earth, and so
Yeah.
you can still learn and you can be transformed.
Yeah.
And so, but I literally, I kept calling it, hey sis, suffering in silence. And people didn't know I was
Mhm.
literally saying, hey sis, to people.
Yeah.
I saw it. I end up, as I begin to heal and pray, and the Holy Spirit helped me to discern, there were some people sitting there in the pews going through the same thing that I was going through, where you have it, but you're still not happy, still
Mhm.
not fully content. You can't order enough stuff off Amazon, take
Yeah.
enough trips, do enough spa days to
Mhm.
heal the heart
Mhm.
that needed to be healed, and to also address the child, the little girl in me that still was yearning for the dad, the father,
Mhm.
and who
Mhm.
a lot of times, if I was real with as I begin to learn honestly, some things I was looking to my husband to fulfill, God never intended for him to fulfill.
Correct, girl.
He was
Yes.
my partner. He's my husband. But he's
Yeah.
not my daddy. He's not my daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So until I got to address a lot of those issues, there were still these wounds there that needed to be mended. And so, we begin to address them here. We begin to
Mhm.
talk about them. Revelations through, certain guests we had on sharing, or either look, and what's the word? Somebody said therapized, and I think we said it
It's
on this show.
their cousin.
Therapized indirectly, to where like we'd have it be an episode for us, but I get off the episode sitting in there, sitting in my stuff like, whoa,
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
Spirit.
Yeah.
And I think some of these topics, some of these examples that you're giving that are some of the behind the scenes issues that occur in relationships, I think that they are the kind of topics that our young people can manage, they can deal with, because
Mhm.
it applies to excuse me, relationships across the board.
Mhm.
Like being in your friend groups, making sure that no one feels alone. How are you going to be with
Yeah.
all of us and then still say you feel alone?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's something that we can try to work through in our singleness, so that when we get into that relationship, we can apply it there.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or learning the ways in which those around us want to be loved. Okay, this is what I like, but it doesn't mean that it'll work for you. So let me learn you. So you don't have to be husband and wife to do that. You can just be person to person and
Yes.
start to begin that journey towards mastery of caring for people the way that they need to be cared for. And that's
Yes.
what I was saying back, way back when we were having the singles seminars and the marriage seminars. Like
Mhm.
what even if we can't sit in,
Mhm.
bring some of your issues out and let's talk about it, from a real standpoint. Because
Yeah.
what Lorraine always kind of chuckles with me saying is that those singles ministries seminars were always self-esteem boosts. There's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. And it's like, dude, I know that, but I mean, can we talk
Right.
about money management? Can we talk about trust? Can we talk about communication? Can we talk about finances and partnering in trying to build a home or a family, or
Yeah.
build our spiritual life and get on this road together towards salvation? Can we talk about those things, please?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Please.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
And listen, one day, some youth were over my house, young adults, they all were college level. And one of the young ladies was saying how, um, one, she appreciated her professor at school. She was at Southern, but she was saying how she appreciated the professor letting them asking the doubtful questions, the
Mhm.
questions that cast any type of doubt towards our belief was
Mhm.
our beliefs are, because she never got to do that as a child and a teen, whatever. And the
Mhm.
professor was like, God can handle your doubt, your questions. Go ahead and ask the questions. But then
Mhm.
the other thing she said, now, y'all expect me to get married and know what I'm doing in the bedroom. Like, when are we supposed to talk about sex? She
Mhm.
was like, well, parents don't want to talk about it. The church don't want to talk about it. And then I was like, you know what? To add to that, I have friends who were like, they were made to think certain things were so nasty and dirty about it that even when they got married,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
stigma that
Yes.
had been put in their heads for so long, they weren't able to drop it. And it was like, no, there needs to be different conversations about it. I'm like, the fact remains, God created this thing. He created sex. So it's a beautiful
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
But the way that even that's talked about, and I get it, you don't want to preach that in divine service, but when you do have these seminars, let's talk about the joys of it. There's the Song of Solomon's for a reason.
Mhm.
You can go and read it if you want to say it's literal spirit. There's all kind of stuff talking up in there. And it's like, he was the original Mac, okay? He was dropping bars back then. And
Yes.
Sister Girl too. She was saying stuff. but the way that it's portrayed, that people end up not one. We either not we go into these into we're in our worlds going into these situations with this negative view on things that God intended to be beautiful, because we're not talking about it and we're not sharing. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this is why it's very important, the vision that God gave Lorraine, the mission of what this podcast is today and what it's
Mm-hmm.
continuing to be, is to help people live, love, and marry wiser. And I'm so glad to be a part of this with you
Mm-hmm.
ladies, and all the guests that we have come on. I'm excited for this season, for our new formatting. We did discuss we're gonna do 30. I don't think it'll ever be 30 minutes, but 45 minutes, and we may be over
Mm-hmm.
that tonight. um Time, our frame. We're actually going to also be pre-recording some, so our we'll have the first 3 weeks where we'll be pre-recorded, and then but you still we'll still be watching, so you still come
We'll
in
be in
every
the chat.
Tuesday night, and
Mm-hmm.
you be in the chat, because we'll be in the chat. And then the fourth Tuesday of the month we'll actually be
Mm-hmm.
live like we are tonight, so you can
Mm-hmm.
ask questions, because what we like for you to do, even while those pre-recorded episodes are happening, sure, put questions in the chat, but we would like some live questions to come out like tonight while we're recording, that we can maybe answer. And especially too when we have some of our different guests that will come on, as well, to be able to ask them questions, and get your answers live and in person.
Yeah, that was a perfect segue. Well, as you all can see, technology would try not to let us be great tonight, but we rebuke that, because what needed
Amen.
to be said was said, and prayerfully what you needed to hear, you heard, for those who are listening with us live and those who will listen later. And so, as O said, first, second, and third Tuesdays of the month, those will be the pre-recorded. We'll be in the chat, so we'll be engaging with you in the chat, and then on the fourth will be Go Live Tuesday, and so that's where, like you said, we'll be live, so we can have some good conversation that way. Um, and so we want you all to engage with us. We want you to share your ideas, your thoughts about what is relevant to you. Talk to us about what you're struggling with. Talk to us about what is trending. Talk to us about those things that you can't talk to anybody else about. Okay.
Yes.
Are we therapists? We're not. And we have access to great resources. So, as O said, we're going to have some amazing guests on who will talk about the things that are, that we're all struggling with, the things that we have questions about. So, our focus will always be on living your best life and loving yourself and others well. And if it is your desire and God's will for your life, doing marriage well as well. So, that will always
Yes.
be the focus of what we do here. And so, don't feel like you need another rescue plan, or you need another self-help book, or you need some quick fix. What you need are resources, and you need the wisdom that only God can give to help you not fall into the traps that the enemy is setting for us. So let's be clear that marriage is under attack, and that it is by design. Satan does not want us to do life well, and he definitely doesn't want us to do life well together, for us all to get to heaven together, and that is God's will for us. So
Amen.
join us here as we talk about all the important things. And until we are together again, let me make sure I say it the way Lo will say it. So until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Amen.